All right, good morning everyone and welcome to today's webinar on the power of the network. This is the final webinar that we are running for 2020. My name's Naomi Farrelly from Sparrowly Group and joining me today on tech support is Jackie.
Hi.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm a collaborator with Sparrowly Group with 20 years experience working in the tourism industry. I've worked with organisations and products at all levels of the tourism ecosystem. So housekeeping before we begin, your video and audio has been disabled for the presentation. The session will be recorded today and you will get a link of the video sent through to you tomorrow morning as part of the follow-up. And with that, you'll also get the presentation slides. We welcome you to revisit the recording and share it with your colleagues who maybe couldn't make it today. If you do have any questions, please pop them in the Q&A box, which you can open at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and we'll collate them together and go through them at the end of the session. If you're having any technical issues, also use the chat box and Jackie will respond to you directly. So that you can focus on the information to come, we're going to turn off our videos and get started. So what are we going to talk about today? Let's break it down. We're going to cover what you need to do to build your tourism network. We'll talk about what is the tourism ecosystem, what does that fancy word even mean, and who is involved in the ecosystem, how you work with it, and the tools and the resources that you need to have together so you can work with it easily. So let's get into it. So by definition, an ecosystem is a complex network or interconnected system. And in tourism, we have exactly that. I'm sure you are aware of the many organisations, industry bodies and tourism associations that coexist within the tourism industry. The really cool thing about working in the tourism industry is that you're part of a much bigger network with partners that are there to support you and to help you to grow your business. I'm sure you're also aware of how confusing that it is sometimes with all these different organisations, and it's really confusing sometimes to understand, who does what and who's who at the zoo. And it also doesn't help that most of the time, these are usually talked about in their acronyms, like TA and STO and RTO. What does that even mean? You might not even know who they are and what they do. So today I'm hoping that I'll be able to simplify this for you as much as possible and help you to get started on building your relationships in the ecosystem. So essentially, this is the tourism ecosystem when we look at our tourism organisations. There's a network of organisations working together to support tourism operators and collectively grow the visitor economy. It's a powerful ecosystem that you can all work with. Think of it like a sales funnel, with tourism organisations spending literally millions of dollars on demand-driving marketing activities. That's doing stuff to motivate people to travel, and then funnel those potential customers into your products and your businesses. We'll go through each one in a bit more detail as we work through the session, but essentially we start at the top with Tourism Australia, whose lead role is to drive visitors into Australia. They deliver massive campaigns globally, and now in response to COVID, the domestic focus is back, encouraging Australians to have an Australian experience. TA are all about stimulating demand and creating awareness of Australian experiences. Then at the next level down, we have the state tourism organisations. So for example, Tourism and Events Queensland or Destination New South Wales. They drive visitation, international and domestic, to their state with a goal to grow the state's visitor economy. Then we drill down again to the regional tourism organisations, and their role is to ensure that their regions, industry and partners are enabled and supported to maximise all of these opportunities at all different levels. So that could include marketing activity, industry development and infrastructure projects. They also support the local tourism organisations at that next level down, that local destination level, who promote their own city or town and the products within them. And they may also provide visitor servicing programs. Then finally, most importantly, there's you, the tourism products and experiences. Your job is to deliver exceptional experiences for visitors. Without excellent tourism products and experiences, the work that the tourism organisations do kind of becomes null and void, because tourism organisations at the end of the day don't have any products to sell, and they're actually reliant on you to deliver on their brand promise. You're the ones at the end of the day that are delivering the experience for their customers. So this ecosystem that's supported by tourism products and experiences is then amplified by the programs and partnerships that each of the organisations deliver. We'll talk about that in more detail. So let's break that down one by one. Starting at the top, Tourism Australia. So Tourism Australia is the Australian government agency responsible for attracting international visitors to Australia, both for leisure and business. Pre-COVID, they were active in 15 key markets, but like all of us, this year they've had to pivot and are currently working closely in the domestic space. Their role is still the same. It's all about inspiring travellers to have an Australian experience. So what do? They run a number of programs for distribution partners, industry and media, with activities including advertising, PR and media programs, trade shows, consumer promotions, online communications, and also consumer and market research. Some of the key things that they deliver are demand-driving marketing activities. So we've probably all seen Hamish and Zoe Blake out there at the moment promoting having a great Australian trip and planning a great Australian trip as part of the Holiday Here This Year campaign, which is a Tourism Australia campaign. They run distribution programs, working closely with airlines and travel companies on cooperative marketing to drive conversions. So what that means is they work with partners that actually connect the consumer to the products. So companies like whatif.com, Webjet, Flight Centre and Qantas. They run media programs to increase coverage about Australian experiences in the media. They host media from consumer and trade publications, broadcast crews for television and online channels, as well as advocates and digital influencers with a strong following on social media or other platforms. They run the Aussie Specialist Program, which is a training program for travel agents. Globally, they've trained thousands and thousands of specialist travel agents in how to sell an Australian holiday and put an Australian itinerary together. And they're now rolling this program out to educate domestic travel agents. There's also the Signature Experiences of Australia program, which promotes really outstanding tourism experiences in a range of niche areas, including wineries, luxury lodges, golf courses, guided walks, Aboriginal, fishing, wildlife encounters and cultural attractions. And they also run the Friends of Australia program, which is an ambassador program, which involves a whole range of influential people across sports stars, fashion designers, celebrity chefs, environmentalists, entrepreneurs and artists. The most well-known ones probably Chris Hemsworth and Kylie Minogue, who tell their Australian story through their own channels and also through Tourism Australia's. So there's a whole range of activity happening domestically and globally out there being driven by Tourism Australia that you can actually get involved in. So how do you do it? We're going to be sharing a resource with you as part of the follow-up from today about working with Tourism Australia in the domestic market. But some of the key ways is getting involved in their campaigns. So Tourism Australia operates on this really high national level and all about talking about Australia as a whole. The best way for you to connect with that is to get involved by echoing that same messaging and singing from that same song sheet. So currently the Holiday Here This Year campaign is being rolled out, and you can get involved by downloading the campaign toolkit where you can access their campaign logo and other resources. And you can also use their hashtag Holiday Here This Year on any of your social promotions as well. There's research and insights. There's heaps of it available through Tourism Australia's corporate site, tourism.australia.com. Recent market research, including domestic performance dashboard, which looks at the National Visitor Survey, aviation statistics, including new domestic routes and other broader tourism stats like around visitor numbers and spend, and consumer profiles for different markets are all available there. And you can use that research to help you in your own business. You can easily get involved in their social media activities simply by using the hashtag #CAustralia on your own social media content. And to get involved in their PR and media activity, firstly, you'll need to get in touch with your RTO or the STO. We'll talk about those in a minute, but they can promote you through their wide range of PR and publicity initiatives that they run domestically and globally. If you are a commissionable tourism product, so you're ready to work with distribution partners, you can get involved in the Aussie Specialist Program by providing a discounted travel offer through their travel club, which encourages travel agents to come and experience your product themselves. And you can also make a short product training video as well that you can upload to the program. There's business event support and also broader industry support around the available government programs that are available currently through COVID and beyond. And also industry webinars have been running to support businesses too. And finally, the most important contact for you really, and the most important thing you need to know after you review that guide on how to work with tourism Australia is getting in touch with the industry relations team. So this is really a go-to team and the key contact for industry at Tourism Australia. Their industry relation managers divided by state. There's 2 of them. They look after different states. So find out which one is your industry relations manager, introduce yourself, and then keep them up to date on your product and experience. So that's Tourism Australia. So they're on that national level, looking at driving visitors and inspiring people to have Australian experiences. Then we drill down to the state tourism organisation. So their role, a state tourism organisation, or STO, is to support the development and marketing of sustainable tourism destinations and experiences within their state. To increase awareness and attract visitors. So their role is really about driving visitation within that state, both into the metro areas and regionally. There's one for every state and territory. So we've got Destination New South Wales, South Australian Tourism Commission, Tourism and Events Queensland, Visit Victoria, Tourism Tasmania, Visit Canberra, Tourism Northern Territory, and Tourism Western Australia. And they all work closely with Tourism Australia, ensuring that there's alignment with their programs, and they work cooperatively on activities wherever it's relevant. So some of the key programs that your STO might be running, and they do vary from state to state, is marketing activities. So they all run consumer marketing activities. They also work to secure and attract and secure major events, including sporting, cultural and business events. They also work, like Tourism Australia does, on partnerships and cooperative activity to drive bookings through conversion partners. And they build capacity across the industry as well through product and industry development programs. So how can you work with them? Again, it's quite similar to how you would work with Tourism Australia, the different levels of involvement that you have. There's the campaign activity, and all of our STOs are doing domestic marketing activity at the moment that you can get involved in different ways. So in New South Wales, we've got the Love New South Wales activity going on. Western Australia's got Wander Out Yonder in WA, Come Down for Air in Tasmania, for example. There's some of the campaigns that are running. So for each, there's different industry toolkits. So the best thing to do is to go online to their corporate websites and get in touch with your STO to find out how you can get involved. They also have detailed research and insights at a state level. So drilling down from what Tourism Australia has, they will look more at a state level around who is coming to the state and what visitors are doing. You can get involved in social media programs as well, and PR and advertorial opportunities. They run for mill programs, bringing out the media in conjunction with Tourism Australia, but they'll also run their own for mill programs as well to bring media out into their state and to their regions. There's work done around business events. So New South Wales, for example, have a specific regional conferencing unit that really works actively to attract conferences into regional New South Wales. And each STO works closely with the relevant business event organisations and agencies, or what we call convention bureaus in major cities as well, to drive to really grow that conferencing business. There's trade marketing activities, so working with those conversion and distribution partners around product development, getting businesses to understand how to work with distribution partners, and then trade shows like the Australian Tourism Exchange that connect the products through to those distribution partners as well. And finally, one of the most important things that you can do when working with your STO and working in the ecosystem overall is to make sure that you've got an ATDW listing. This will mean that you've got more chance to be featured in and promoted by your STO in their activities. Every tourism business should have a listing on the Australian Tourism Data Warehouse. Currently, it's free in all states and territories. If you don't know what ATDW is or how to set up your listing, we've run a webinar on this previously, and we'll share the resources with you as part of the follow-up from today. So again, at your STOs, everyone's structured differently, but there are key contacts for you there. So New South Wales, for example, has a product development team where you can contact them and start to talk to them about how to work with the STO. If you have a look on their corporate website, you can find contact details about those key contacts and get in touch and just start to build that relationship. So that's the state level from the top. Then we move down to the regional level. So a regional tourism organisation has a role of really growing the visitor economy for their regions. So they're about representing a collective of cities, towns or localities in a region. And regional tourism we know is really vital to Australia's economy, particularly at the moment. While international borders remain closed, growing regional visitation, or what we call driving regional dispersal, is a key focus for Tourism Australia and the STOs. And to do this, they're working with the RTOs. So the role of the RTO and its structure and its funding model really varies from state to state. Some are marketing organisations, others are destination managers. And it's important to note that not all regions necessarily have an RTO. For example, in New South Wales, the 6 destination networks replace the RTO model and act as administrative bodies. So it's important that you really make sure you understand the regional structure in your state, how the organisations are structured and what their role is. But what they do in terms of their role, generally speaking, and they do vary, primarily they all have this focus on growing the visitor economy for their region. They're a conduit between the local tourism organisation or the local government area, which we'll talk about in a minute, and the STO. They're almost like a regional shopfront that kind of connects that local through to the state level. And they work really closely with the LTO or the LGA in identifying key operators and their products and experiences for further industry development. And they'll work to fill the gaps in between what's been happening at a state level and a local level as well. So they might run destination marketing. They could be looking at opportunities for infrastructure development, work on product development programs and industry capability building. And importantly, they support the industry and they provide those connections. So they really are there to help you to connect through to that state tourism organisation if you try. So how can you work with them? Well, again, as I said, they're structured differently and have different roles. So some will have cooperative activities that you can connect in with directly, but they may also help you to be able to leverage those of the state tourism organisation as well. A lot of them work in the industry development space and might run training and industry workshops to help upskill the industry. They'll support the PR programs and for meals that happen at a state and at national level. There's also potentially social media opportunities and other partner opportunities with your RTO. So it's important, again, that you kind of find out who they are and just have that conversation with them about how you can start to work with them best. So the next level down, so we've gone from that top level of federal to state to regional, and now we've got the local level. And at a local level, the aim is really to develop and grow tourism in that local area and strengthen local tourism businesses. So LTOs, or local tourism organisations, or local government areas, may or may not be funded by council. They're all different. The structure varies from destination to destination. So for example, where I'm located in Destination Sydney Surrounds North, there are 13 local government areas and each one's tourism structure is different. But regardless, your local council still plays an important role in tourism development. They can advise you regarding building and zoning, health and safety issues, and a whole range of issues around operating your business and planning issues as well. And they may, within council, have an employee whose role is to manage tourism that can give you up-to-date information and local knowledge about what's happening in that tourism space. And they can connect you with the LTO where there is one, and also the Visitor Information Centre. So visitor servicing is an important local government role as well. And there may also be a tourism manager within your destination too. So again, it varies. So it's important to really reach out to your council and your Visitor Information to understand the structure and how it works. But what they do at a local level, or how you can work with them. So you need to build a relationship with your LTO, the council and the Visitor Information Centre. So find out which organisations you do have in your local government area, whether it's the council and the VIC or if there's an LTO as well, and build a relationship with them. That's really the first starting point. Then you can work to leverage any of their marketing activity and PR activity that they might be doing if they're running local destination marketing campaigns. They can also help you with industry and product development. So find out what opportunities they have and really get involved with those. You might want to offer a familiar of your product with the Visitor Information Centres and tourism staff so they can get to know your product and experience. And they also generally offer local networking opportunities, and local networking and connections are really important in the tourism space. So if they do run local networking opportunities, get involved and head along. So finally, the next stage is you, the tourism product. So your job as a tourism product or experience is to provide amazing experiences for your visitors, to really create advocates for your destination and to drive repeat or referral visitation. So as a tourism business, you may have already developed a product or experience that is really aligned to the customer segments that we're working to attract at all different levels. And you've created a visitor experience that has a really unique selling point. You might be doing your own marketing, or you should be doing your own marketing and already working with the distribution channels. And importantly, you should be working within the broader tourism industry with other operators, industry associations, support services and government agencies that we've talked about today to really help you to leverage and harness and grow your activities. So you're not alone. I guess that's the important message from today, that you're not alone, and you should really be working together to grow the collective pie for everyone in your destination, because that's really what it's all about. So when you think about working with other tourism businesses, think about cooperation and collaboration, not competition. Whenever I run workshops, back when we could face-to-face, it always amazed me when we bring local businesses into a room that how many didn't already know each other. And out of those workshops, there was always new connections and collaborations that form. So be really proactive and find out about other local tourism businesses, reach out to them and talk about working together. That could be just by bundling or creating packages and special offers. It could be just referring your visitors through to other businesses, creating a bit of a network, and also looking at the peer-to-peer mentoring. So you're all small tourism businesses, generally speaking, and there's always so much to do in our business. We're all looking at and working in many of us are working in the same ways, working with different booking platforms and social media and marketing. Look at ways that you can build a sort of a network to support and each other and make life easier for each other as you work through all of the challenges of a tourism business. So that's a bit of a detailed review of the key players in the ecosystem, what they do and how you can work with them at a very top line level. There are more like distribution partners, industry associations, local businesses, chambers of commerce and other government agencies. They're important to consider too, but let's really focus about the tourism organisations and how you can actually harness the power of this network. So firstly, you want to create a simple plan. And here at Sparrowly, we believe in keeping it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Start local first with other tourism products and experiences and your local tourism organisation, and continue to build over time. Make sure you're communicating regularly with your key stakeholders and key organisations so that you kind of stay top of mind. Keep your messages simple and just update them regularly. Don't be shy. Tourism people are a really friendly bunch. They want to support you and they want to help each other. So get out there and just start to make the connections. As part of the follow-up from today, you're going to get a little checklist that you can start to use to collate your key contacts and keep, a checklist and keep them up to date. So importantly, like any good relationship or any good friendship, they're built over time. So it's going to take some time to grow, and eventually the relationships will start to blossom and you'll see the results. Get to know the key contact people at each level of the different tourism organisations and build rapport. Understand the role that they play and what information that they're going to need. So for example, if you're working with your local visitor information centre, they're going to need details about tour times and the pricing. A media team might need really exciting story ideas and great images to support that. And when you're working in trade marketing, you need to have fact sheets and rate sheets developed. So relationships are a two-way street. So think about, who you're working with and what they need and how you can support them so that they can best support you. So to do that, it all starts, these relationships with an initial introduction. So a meet and greet, a phone call or an email just to introduce yourself and your business. But then you also need to have some tools prepared and ready to go so that you can really amplify that and share your information quickly and easily. So things that you want to start to pull together is a brochure. Yes, people still use them, especially in visitor information centres. Fact sheets for your products, standard product descriptions, long and short, rate sheets, and you'll need to also have some quality imagery and quality video footage as well. So you need to create that toolkit, and we've got resources that can help you with that. So again, don't be shy. If you're struggling with something, reach out to us at Sparrowly and we can give you some tips and tools to help you to pull this toolkit together. And importantly, start to create that database so you've got all of your contacts in one place. Once you've made your connections, the most important thing is to make sure that you communicate regularly. We're all busy people, and while the ecosystem is there to support you, you need to be proactive as a business. You're, driving the ship for your business, so you need to proactively keep everyone in the ecosystem up to date about your product, so that you can keep top of mind with them. It could be just a quick email update, a quick check-in to see how they're going, a Christmas note this time of year, or a thank you whenever you've been included in a media program or they've shared one of your social posts. Keep the messages simple, but keep them regular. So to recap, what we've talked about today is that tourism ecosystem, who's involved in it and why it's important. The importance of creating network and building your connections over time and creating that rapport. The need to communicate regularly. Get your materials prepared so you're ready and to go and can quickly communicate. And most importantly, don't be shy. Be proactive. It all starts with just one email or a simple phone call. So tomorrow you're going to receive an email from us with the recording of the webinar, the presentation slide, and some resources that you might find useful. You'll also get a link to the Working with Tourism Australia guide and a checklist where you can record all your relevant information. Please feel free to share it with other colleagues and businesses that you could think could benefit from the information. So now we've got a little bit of time for questions. Jackie, do we have any questions from the session today?
Yes, we've got a few. So starting with Ian, he asked, for the Hawkesbury area, who would be the regional tourism people? And hopefully that regional tourism organisation and the local tourism organisation slide answered that. But Naomi, would you mind just repeating that in reference to the Hawkesbury?
Yeah, so specifically for the Hawkesbury, Ian. So the Hawkesbury at a regional level sits under one of the destination networks because we are in New South Wales, and that's Destination Sydney Surrounds North. So that's the regional tourism organisation within the structure, that destination network. So the team there, Glenn and Michael, are your key contacts within the destination network.
Thank you. Okay, so we've also got, how often should I update the STO?
So to update your STO, you want to be, I guess, initially adding them once you've made that initial introduction. I would add them to your newsletter list if you send out regular product updates and newsletters, and maybe you want to update them once a quarter with new things that are happening within your business as part of a newsletter list. But then you might also update, so as a base, if other key things pop up in between then that are really time critical, you'll let them know about that as well. So it might be that you launch a new tour, or that you have a price change in your product, or maybe you're closing down for a period of time. So anything that's timely, let them know as it happens, but then also make sure that you've got a way of updating them, I would say, at a minimum quarterly.
Great. And how do I know who to contact at some of these organisations, and how will I know it will be circulated internally?
So in terms of who to contact, it does vary from organisation to organisation. So Tourism Australia, you've got an industry development manager. So their details we found in that resource that we share with you. So that's your key contact. Then with your STOs, they have different departments. So the best way to find out who that key contact is really just to pick up the phone and ask them exactly who the right person is for your business to connect with. So for example, in New South Wales, there is that product development team that you can reach out to. And then at the regional level, there's usually an industry development manager as well. So there's no kind of silver bullet and magic answer to finding the right contacts. It is about doing a little bit of research and just asking some questions. But I would start initially with your local tourism organisation. So start with that local contact, because they should be able to provide you with contacts up the chain as well.
Great, thank you. Okay, so when I'm talking with other operators, should I be talking about commissions for any referrals or partnerships?
Yeah, that's a great question. So sometimes, when we talk about working with other tourism businesses, and we might either do what's called bundling, so like bundling things together and promoting it as one experience, or packaging is where you actually put a price point to that as well. And sometimes you might either offer a commission or you offer a discount. So if you're looking at developing a package, you might want to build your commission into that. But if it's simply referrals that you're providing, just referring people on, I would say that you would do that without any sort of expectation of commission. And it's because we're all here to really grow that tourism pie and get visitors once they're in a destination to be traveling further and, you know, doing more things. So I think that we should all just be sharing referrals to other good businesses without any expectation of commission.
Great. And so what are some good conferences that I should attend?
So if you're looking, I guess, to connect with other tourism businesses and the organisations, I would start by firstly looking at not so conferences per se, but connecting with your local tourism organisations to see if they run regular networking events and start there, because that's usually a good way to start to connect with the industry. And sometimes at those events, they will also have informational speakers that might be talking about different activities and programs that are happening. On a regional level, quite often there's a few I've seen coming up around the country have maybe a visitor economy task force or symposiums or regional workshops where they have training programs for the industry. So there's a few happening that I've seen coming up in the next few months at a regional level, which can be quite beneficial. So talk to your LTO and your RTO about those. And then at a national level, there's the Destination Australia Conference, which is a great conference, which next year will happen in March in Sydney. And we can send out the links to anyone that's interested in that. But that's, looking at that national level and looking at, global travel trends and what's happening at Tourism Australia and the big picture of travel for the future of Australia.
Great. So just a couple more. So how do I get involved in trade shows?
So trade shows are events that happen where you're connected through to distribution partners. So the first thing that you need to do to attend a trade show is actually to be what we call distribution ready as a product. So that's really understanding the distribution system and making sure that you've got all your commission levels in place and you know how the distribution partners work. So the next thing, if you wanted to attend a trade show, is to start to talk to your local tourism organisation to see what trade shows they attend and if you can attend in partnership with them. And then also to talk to your state tourism organisation, to your key contacts there about what programs they're running and how you can actually tap into those trade events. So most of them will have a list on their website of the trade shows that they run or that they attend in partnership with Tourism Australia. So you can do some research, but the first step is really to be distribution ready.
Yeah. And just one final one from Ian. He asked, is a rate sheet the same as reviews?
No, Ian, it's quite different from your reviews. So your reviews are your customer reviews. So that's the feedback that you're receiving from customers about your business. So a rate sheet is really a template which looks at the rates for your product when you're dealing with distribution partners. So it would look at your gross rates and also your net rate. So that rate less the commission that you're paying to the distribution partner, and really set it out clearly just for your distribution partners. So it's a tool that you need to develop if you're working with distribution partners. And Ian, we can follow up directly with you if you like with some resources to help you to pull that together.
Great. That's all the questions, Naomi. So back over to you.
Great. Well, thank you, everybody. We really appreciate your time to attend our last webinar for the year. Just to recap on the webinar series that we've run, some of the resources that you'll get in tomorrow's follow-up email include the links through to Amplifying Your Business through ATDW, our Business Planning Fundamentals webinar, Making Your Business Accessible, Knowing Your Numbers, Part 1 and Part 2, and Distribution 101, which Ian, for you, that one does cover off on rate sheets and understanding how to develop one of those. So that's a wrap from us. Feel free to get in touch if you've got any questions. My details are there. Like I said before, don't be shy. We're here to help you and support you. Thank you again for your time to join us today. We really know how valuable your time is, and we really appreciate you making the time to join us. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and wish you all a very Merry Christmas.